now I have all the rights to that one. So I've shut off all the commenting and all of that. So now it's literally just videos that you can have and messages to me if you want to message me back and forth.
Okay. So Natalie was saying that the links in this bit.ly for today will have your YouTube. Will that be the new one?
New one, yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started. So if y'all just arrived, please make sure that you're muted. Kelsey and Maya is here. I'm Natalie Skabinski. And Kelsey and Maya is here moderating the chat. So if y'all have any questions throughout the training today, you can put them in the chat for Kelsey if I don't answer them as we go along, and she can answer some, or she'll save them for me and then ask me, and I'll get that to y'all. So go ahead, tweet out your learning today, #PL Pathways, Personalized Learning Pathways. And those are our Twitter accounts down there. And then make sure you have the bit.ly as well. Okay, and Kelsey put that in the chat. So make sure you have the bit.ly so that you have our contact information. So I'm Natalie Skabinski. I look a lot nicer in that picture.
Hello, amazing. Sorry.
Kelsey. I'm a 5th grade math, science, social studies teacher at Klein ISD. In spring, Kelsey was my teaching partner the past 2 years, but she's leaving me to go to 4th grade. So she's 4th grade ELA teacher now. And these are clickable links down at the bottom. So whenever you have the bit.ly, you can click on those links and go to our YouTubes, Twitters, and our Instagram things. So now this is the fun part. This is always fun for us. Where are you coming from? So use the chat and tell us where you are. Let's see, what do we got? Virginia, Alabama, California, Ohio, Round Rock, knew that one. Delaware, nice. Oh, Courtney, we got you, girl.
Courtney, that's so funny.
I know this is going to be a little advanced for you as far as like learning, but it's kind of showing you something that you can do with Schoology. So that's good. Yay, Middlestat. Whoop, whoop.
Oh, you know, Mr. Funk.
Yes, our principal's husband. Awesome. All right, guys, sweet. Okay, so let's go. We're going to start. I'm going to get into Schoology and show you what we do, what personalized pathways are to the 5th grade team at my elementary school. And all of the ones that I'm going to show you, I'm going to talk about different folders and stuff on the bit.ly. You're going to have the YouTube videos for each folder that I talk about. Okay, so you'll have those with you, and they're on my YouTube page, and you can click this bottom where it says to subscribe, and it'll take you to my YouTube as well. Okay, so let's get into Schoology. So right now I'm in my practice course. Okay, and so I just put in one of my pathways in my practice course so that I can show it to y'all, explain it to y'all why we do this. So in my 5th grade classroom, we don't have Chromebooks for everybody. We have Chromebooks, we have 15 now Chromebooks, and we used to only have about 6 the year before. So we basically use these in our technology station. These are personalized pathways that we built, and this is for math. Now, you can absolutely do pathways in other subjects. Kelsey does them in ELA with the ELA team. This is specifically math-driven as far as what I've done because I teach math. So you're just going to see what we do, and it kind of gives you an idea of how you can use Schoology and some of the features in Schoology and how they work. So at the beginning of every unit, we always do a pre-assessment for our students. This is basically going to show us any prior knowledge that they had of that concept. So I have an adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, because that's what we teach in 5th grade in Texas. So we always start with a pre-assessment. So I go in here and I do it as a test and a quiz because I am not taking an official grade on a pre-assessment. It's going to be 5 questions. They're going to be the hardest questions that they would see, because what I want to know is, do they already know this concept? Adding and subtracting fractions, they're probably not going to know yet, but I want to see what they do know. Okay, so we take in Texas, the STAR test is our state test. So we take previously released STAR questions and we put them into a pre-assessment. It's a test and quiz. It's really easy. We just make it a 5-point quiz. So basically they're going to get a 0 out of 5, a 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, any of that, and that shows me. So these are all going to be your very rigorous questions. That's how we do a pre-assessment specifically. It could be something that you could talk to your specialists about in your districts on what kind of pre-assessments they might want to do, but we want to give them the hardest questions, because if they get them all right, they don't need to be involved in every single aspect of teaching that I do, because they already know. So I'm going to give them a chance to create later, and I'll go over what that means. So we always start with a pre-assessment. So my students go at the beginning of a concept, before I've taught anything, before I've asked anything, they go and they take their pre-assessment. And then what I do is I go to the results and I look and see how they did. Now, I only have 2 students in my practice course, Kelsey and my son. So my son would actually probably do better at this than her. So he's going into 5th grade. So
that is the truth. That is the truth.
He's smarty. He's going into my grade, so he knows what he's doing. So anyway, I have 2 people here. So say Kelsey and Aaron, they both took the pre-assessment, okay? And it's adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. This is new to 5th graders. This is not easy. So they did not do all so well. Kelsey got a 0 out of 5. So and maybe Aaron got, let's say Aaron got a 3 out of 5. Okay, he's got a little bit of knowledge in there. He kind of figured it out on how to do it. Okay, so Kelsey got a 0 out of 5. Aaron got a 3 out of 5. So I'm going to go back to my pathway. I have all of this built already, but my students can't see any of it except for the pre-assessment that they just took. When they're done with the pre-assessment, what I do is I take my data and I figure out, okay, all of those that got a 0 or a 1 on the pre-assessment, they need a lot of help. They need more help, more instruction, something like that. So for those students that have less previous knowledge, they're going to be assigned Trail 1. Okay, so let me go back here. Trail 1, I'll go over what is in Trail 1 in just a second. So they're going to be assigned Trail 1. So to assign a folder to a student, go over to the gear where you have the folder, pull down the gear button, and individually assign. So Kelsey was my one that got a 0 on the pre-assessment. She needs the most help. I'm just going to click on Kelsey, click next, click assign. Okay, it's right here on the gear. So now it shows that one person is assigned that trail. So all the students in my class, I would assign Trail 1 if they got a 0 or a 1 on the pre-assessment. So this is why, let me show you now Trail 1 and kind of like how much help it gives the students, okay?
And I do want to say one thing. These trails were not built by just one person. It was a whole team effort. So if you're sitting here going, oh my gosh, I got to build this whole thing by myself.
I can see Ellen's freaking out there.
Yeah. It was a whole team effort, and they just put things into resources and used them and moved them where they needed to be.
Exactly. And once one's built, it's built forever. So move it into your resources at the end of the year. It's there. So this one I got from my last class last year. It's already done. I just went in and kind of made sure it looked nice for you guys. So it's all good. So Trail 1, we have 3 different folders in Trail 1. This folder, the Explore folder, is specific for Trail 1. What the Explore folder is different songs, different videos, instructional videos, anything that you can find on YouTube or something that maybe your district has given you. This is stuff that we just looked for, you know, out in the, like I think we made a doc in our team drives, Google Drive, and we just put links to them. Hey, this is a good one for this. So your teammates could go and share that doc and just put in a link to all these videos. That way everyone can see it. And then they're like, okay, we like this one, we like this one. So we put them in here, and we usually put them in a specific order of how we want them to learn the concept. Adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators has a lot of different concepts within the whole. So we usually kind of scaffold it a little bit of watch this one first, this one first, this one first, and I'll show you how to make sure they watch them in order as well. But right now, I'm just going to go over the folders. So the folders, the Explore folder is just going to be your videos, your songs, and that kind of stuff. Then back to Trail 1, once they're done with the videos, they're going to go to your Apply folder. You're applying the knowledge that they have now learned from in-class instruction, because remember this, we just use this in a technology station. I will use it more now that I'm going to be doing distance learning for a few weeks. So, but usually in class, they use this whole pathway all week long. They get on their 15, 20-minute station and they're working through the pathway. So in the Apply folder is going to be where they're applying their knowledge. So in this one specifically, we have a Nearpod that I found in Nearpod and put it on there so I can go back to the Nearpod, see how they did throughout it. We have some Khan Academy lessons, some IXL, anything that you think of that they can do, you can do that. You could also put in a Google Drive assignment in here, some digital task cards, anything like that that your students might want to use. And then at the end of your Apply folder, because now your Trail 1 students, they've watched the videos, they've done the practice, they've gotten your in-class instruction as well. At the end of all of our trails, except for our last one I'll show you, is a mid-check. This mid-check is also full of star release questions, okay? So it's only gonna be 5 questions again, because to me, and not even just to me, but it's been proven that you don't need to test a kid with 20 questions on one concept. If they don't get it in 5, they're not going to get it in 20. Don't stress them out, you know? So we give them 5 extremely hard questions and then see where they are there. See where they are after that mid-check. Now we usually, and it depends on the students, if they make a 100 on the mid-check, I usually don't have them take the final test because they made a 100. They showed me that they know the concept. They're good to go. I don't make them take the assessment at the end of the unit. Because the mid-checks, they're going to take it about 2 days before the assessment, because you're going to take your data from the mid-check and you're going to use it the day before the assessment. You're going to say, okay, where are the misconceptions? What are they missing here? What do I need to hit? And you're going to pull those students that need that extra help and hit that really hard the day before they take the assessment. Okay? So then your last folder in your trail is going to be your Engage folder. This is after they did the practice, after they watched the videos, all of that. Your Engage folder is just games for them, for fun. You know, a lot of them that are, you know, moving slow, or your lower students that aren't getting it, or they're taking more time watching the videos and that kind of stuff, they might not even get to the games. But this is for those students that are really working through, working hard, then they get to have some fun with the concept. So they're still working on the concept. They're just able to be on a computer with games, okay? So that's Trail 1. Those are the students, remember, after the pre-assessment, they got a 0 or a 1 on their pre-assessment, okay? And pretty soon, after I go over what the trails look like, then I'm gonna go over how to make sure that they're doing them in the right order, getting it all done. I just posted a YouTube video about it as well. So now Trail 2, and I'll go over teacher videos and all that kind of stuff too that you see. I know you're seeing all this. I promise I'm getting to it. So Trail 2 is gonna be Aaron. It's gonna be my son. He made a 3 on the pre-assessment. So if they made like a 2, 3, 4 on your pre-assessment, these students don't, not a 2, a 3 or 4 on the pre-assessment, these students don't need as much help. These students don't need more instructional videos. They're getting the instruction in class. They need practice. They need to apply their prior knowledge that they brought into and the knowledge that they're gaining from you with the in-class instruction. So that's Erin. So over here on my gear, I'm going to individually assign my Trail 2 to Erin. Next, and assign. So now you see Erin has Trail 2, okay? Now this is something, I'll show you the difference in the trails in just 1 minute. When you go over here underneath your picture to course options and view course as, if I'm gonna go to Erin here, there's a bunch of other junk in here, but if you'll notice when he goes into his adding and subtracting fractions, he doesn't see Trail 1 anymore because it was assigned to Kelsey. It was not assigned to him. He sees these other ones because I haven't like assigned them to anyone else yet, but he sees Trail 2, so that's good. That's the trail that we want him to be on. Okay, and then if you want to go back to your course, just go back to course and it takes you back to the beginning where you're at as a teacher. So, okay, so the difference in the trails, now I'm going to go into Trail 2. You're not going to see the Explore folder. It's just going to be the Apply folder. They're getting that instruction in class from you. They're also getting teacher videos, which I'll go over as well. But they're getting that other stuff, and they already came in with some prior knowledge as well. So they really just need practice. So it's going to be about the same. You're going to have the same sort of activities in here. If you found one that was very basic and you put it in Trail 1, maybe the Trail 2 kids don't need it. This is kind of where you come in as a teacher and say, okay, what do my kids need? Do they need, you know, as rigorous as Apply stuff, or do they need something that's, you know, maybe a little more basic? So Trail 1 is going to be your more basic. Trail 2 is going to be where they're, you know, really getting the practice to where they want to master the concept. So, and in here too, we just made some digital task cards as a quiz for them. These are not grades. None of this is grades. All of this stuff is a formative assessment. So like mid-check formative assessment tells us what they're doing in class, how their learning is going. Okay, so I know this is a lot of information, guys, but remember this is being recorded. So, and I'm sure Kelsey probably has some questions. So, anyway, and so the only difference between Trail 1 and Trail 2 is that there is no Explore folder in Trail 2. You're still going to have Apply, and you're still going to have the Engage games that they have as well whenever they're done. Okay. Now your last folder, your last trail is going to be Trail 3. Because I only have 2 students in my class right now, I don't have anybody assigned to Trail 3. If you don't assign it to anyone, everyone's going to see it. But I would just unpublish it because Kelsey and Erin are not ready to see Trail 3. So I'm going to unpublish it, and now it's gray. They're not ready to see it because Trail 3 is for those students that have mastered the concept during the pre-assessment. You may get those students that are so high, they get it, they get anything and everything. When it comes to place value, you'll probably get some of those as well. Things that they have prior knowledge in school of. A concept like adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, you're probably not going to get many, but you might get some. You never know. So what Trail 3 is, you're not going to have Explore or Apply. These students got a 5 out of 5 on the pre-assessment, or if the students worked through Trail 1 or Trail 2 and then got a 5 out of 5 on the mid-check, you could open Trail 3 for them. Okay, you could open Trail 3 for them. Trail 3 has the folder, the Create folder. Okay, and then it also has the Engage games whenever they're done with their work. So throughout the week, they're going to work on a creation. My students' favorite is Flipgrid. We use Flipgrid a lot. And so what we have them do is show me how you might help a struggling learner with this concept. They get it. Let them be creative with it. So that's what we have them do, is we have them basically make up their own lesson for the concept and with whatever they want to use. And you can use whatever you want to use. I think I'm going to use more Google Slides presentations or something like that next year. But my students love Flipgrid. I don't think anybody chose Powtoons or Storyboard that, which we use sometimes too. Those are like comics that they can make. And then they upload to a discussion. They upload their link here in the discussion so that other students can see it and all that kind of stuff as well. So my first year of teaching, I have an example here, and I'll show it to you guys, of one of my students. She was a very high student. I think I'm sure she was on Trail 2, and then she moved right on to Create because she got the concept really quickly. This is her example, if it'll show. Oh, it just went to my thing. Well, it's right there, so. Come on. This is what she created. And so this is something that like I'm gonna show students now as an example of what they can do. You can create a Flipgrid whichever way you want to. So this is her, there's music in the background too. You probably can't hear it. This is all her, there's nobody told her how to do it. This is the method that we use for teaching adding and subtracting fractions. She's so cute. And then she has each step there too. I didn't give her any direction. I said, help a struggling student. So these are the kind of things that your students could come up with, and it goes all the way to the end where she gets the answer. So these are the kind of things that your students that have mastered the concept can come up with. I mean, they can use you want them to use their creativity and use their imagination for that kind of stuff, okay? So those are the 3 trails that I break up my students into based on the data that I get from the pre-assessment. Now, the other things that we have here in our trails, this is just a PowerPoint showing the students how to do the 4-square method, which is what we use to teach adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. It's a PowerPoint for them. And then something that we've been doing, we started really this past year, I guess we really got into it, is doing teacher videos. So this is videos on every little thing that they need to know for the concept, made by myself and my other 2 math teachers in our team. And so we use our document cameras and we record ourselves teaching them how to do this. And we're going to be a blended learning campus when we go back to school. So we're going to be doing a lot of flipped classroom things. Kelsey is actually our blended learning person for 3rd through 5th grade at our campus. And so we had already kind of gotten started on that. These teacher videos are things every student has to watch. So sometimes what we have done, like at the beginning of a concept, they do their pre-assessment, I break them up into their groups, and maybe half the class will be in front of me doing whole group lesson and me teaching them. Then the other half will be on their pathway watching the teacher videos and taking notes, because everything that we write down, we tell them to write down as well. So these teacher videos, we have all of them do, every single one. Even if they master the concept, I want to make sure that they get it in their head and make sure that it wasn't a fluke, especially if we're doing multiple choice questions for our pre-assessments. I want to make sure it's not a fluke. They get it, they got the notes, because come later, when we do our STAR test, we want them to have all those notes and have all that information for them to look back on as well. So teacher videos are ones they all have to watch. And then this choice board is just for anybody that finished anything and everything for the week. They can go on and they can do a choice board, pick a different thing to do if they've already finished. So,
Hey, Natalie.
yes.
Show one of your teacher videos, just a little snippet, because
Okay.
somebody was asking it in the chat.
Okay, so this one was one that I did, the GCF and LCM lesson, teaching them the difference between those things. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's literally what I would do in class as a lesson with them, because we use like our whiteboards and we have our document cameras, but it's just me doing it by myself.
And while they're watching this, they have their notebooks out taking the notes as well. So
Exactly. They have their notebooks out, they're taking the notes as well. And you can walk by and you can see if they're doing it or not as well. That's my cell phone on the video making a making a noise. But yeah, so I can kind of like go.
So we have in our classroom we have hover cams. So they're like the document camera. So what we'll do is we'll have the paper on the document camera like our desk, and then the document camera would be over and would record the actual video to our computer. So that's how we record it.
Yeah, Kelsey did a lot last year where she would just record the lesson that she's actually doing in person with the students. So if y'all happen to have a hybrid model or something coming up where you're going to have some students in your class and some at home that you are teaching both, I have no idea how that's going to work, but if you happen to have that, this is really good because they'll both be able to see it.
Yeah. And you can, if you don't have one of those hover cams, you can just have your phone and record it, like have it sitting on something and record yourself doing it, and then just upload it to your Google Drive, and that would be fine.
And there's whiteboards on Zoom. You can record your Zoom of yourself doing a whiteboard lesson on the computer. It's not as easy for me to write on the computer, but that's something, you know. And it's we use the hover cams record. They have their own recording. But then you can also use Zoom to record. You can use Screencastify. You can use Screencast-O-Matic, Loom. There's several different screencasting things that you do. But basically, these are all like very specific notes. I had students this year that needed every single little bitty thing as far as notes goes. So those are our teaching videos.
Natalie, someone asked about your tabs on your notebook.
Oh.
And if you made those or if you purchased them. And
so we made these. We have reporting categories for our STAR test, 4 different reporting categories. And if you'll notice at the very beginning, where was it? You could kind of see it there. So we just made different tabs for each of the reporting categories. So at the end of the year, it would have been nice. We didn't get to use it this year or last year because we got sent home because of COVID. But all of the notes for those specific TEKs, it's like multiplying decimals, dividing decimals, adding and subtracting positive rational numbers, all of the notes for these specific things that all fall under reporting category 2 are behind this tab. So that's super helpful for them whenever we start doing review for our STAR test, for our state testing. Super helpful because then they know where to go for their notes that they've taken throughout the year. So we decided to use those this year. I decided to use those this year. And I'm definitely going to use them coming up. I'm an organizational person. Like I need to know where everything is. So these I can probably put a copy of these in the Facebook group, but it's only going to be for Texas teachers. You'd have to kind of, you know, make it different for those that aren't in Texas, because these are all the TEKs that we use in Texas. So and anything else, Kelsey?
We use the same thing for reading as well. So we just do it based on the unit of study, because we're units of study. So we just do it the same thing. And there's all you have to do to make a tab like that is just make a shape in like a Word document and then add another little rectangle.
Because I used your Google Drawings.
Yeah.
I used Google Drawings.
Yeah. So you would just use a Google Draw and make 2 rectangular shapes, one rectangular shape for your writing and then one rectangular shape for the tab. And then once it prints, you can cut it out and make it a tab on cardstock.
And they know whenever we start a new unit, or actually I think we did these at the beginning of the year, and I just said, okay, let's just flip through, find a chunk, and then glue it in or something. I think we did actually these at the beginning of the year, whenever we're setting up their notebooks. Because some of the concepts aren't in the, like, we don't do all of reporting category 2 within 9 weeks or something like that. We skip around. So yeah, but in the description of this video, that I put on YouTube, I'll put a link to the tabs. I'll do that. And I'll just make sure to put on there that for Texas teachers. So in case they want to use these. So let's hope the reporting categories or nothing changes and all that stuff. Who knows? So yeah, right. Okay, so let me get to this extremely important part of your personalized pathways. Okay, we basically personalize them because we've taken the data from our pre-assessment and we've said, these students need to be on trail 1, they need extra help. These students kind of get it, they have pre-existing knowledge, they're on trail 2. These students already know it, aced it, they're on trail 3, okay? Now, my students are going into work on it. Okay, I have students that are gonna go into trail 1, go click around, oh, I'm just gonna play some games, I'm just gonna, you know, whatever. No. I want them to do everything in order. So the best thing about Schoology, in my opinion, whenever we figured this out, is the student completion part of Schoology, where you can put things in order. The students will not be able to see them or to click on the next thing until they finish one thing, okay? So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna click student completion because I want them to do the explore folder first, then do the apply folder, then they can play the games, okay? Now the very important part of the student completion part is to click requirements must be completed in sequential order, okay? Then you add a requirement. First one is your explore folder. Yes, I want them to complete. That's the only option I have there. The next one, I'm gonna pull down. I want them to do the apply folder next. They must complete that. And then I actually usually don't do the engage because that's kind of extra fun for them to do. It's not a requirement that they get to it and they finish it. So you can put engage and then complete. I'm just gonna not even put it because they could move on to trail 3 and start creating something if they, you know, did really well in the first 2. So I'm gonna save my changes. And now it shows right here that they must complete the explore folder, then they must complete the apply folder. Now, after I do all my student completion, I'll show you what it looks like on Kelsey's end as a student in my class, in my practice course. I'll show you what it looks like to her. And you'll see what I mean whenever they can't click on the next thing until they finish one. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my Explore folder now because I set up my Explore folder with videos the way I want them to watch them. I wanna watch this one first, then the next one, then the next one. I want them to get the concept as they go along. I don't want them to watch a whole video of the whole process without them understanding the little bits and pieces as they go. So I'm going to go into the folder and I just do the same thing. Options, student completion. Make sure to click the requirements must be completed in sequential order. And then as I go along, this is the first video that I put in. They must view this. Now what that means is they have to click on it. Now these are not Edpuzzle videos where they won't, you know, you can click on it, click out of it, and it shows that they clicked it. So there is a trust level that has to be there that your students will watch the whole video. We all know that that won't exactly happen sometimes, but hey, put some Edpuzzle videos in here. Edpuzzle videos, the way you set them up is that they can't click through the videos. They have to watch the whole thing or it doesn't count. You can put questions in Edpuzzle and that kind of thing too. So that's another training, but do those kind of videos to where they have to actually watch them before they can move on. So that's something that we're actually looking into doing more of next year. So I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna do all my videos right now real quick. I'm going in order as I go. That's the next one. Now remember, it saves your work and stuff, so you don't have to go in and do it a lot. But now I'm gonna save my changes. I have it all ready. Now you can see underneath the videos, they say must view this item, must view this item, must view this item, must view this item. So whenever they do view it, what's gonna happen is it's gonna say complete, and it's gonna be in green, and there's gonna be a green check mark there that says that they completed it. And then the next video will be, they'll be able to click it. Okay, sometimes they might have to reload their page, just do a reload for the next video to come up. But that's one problem that we have found a lot in Schoology, but teach them how to reload a page and you should be fine. I know the younger ones, it's gonna be harder, but just reload your page and you should be fine. Okay, so what I then do is do the same thing in the apply folder. I go in. I had gone in and done a video on this and then I took them all out, but I wanted y'all to see it. So I'm gonna do the same thing in the apply folder. I'm gonna do requirements must be completed in sequential order. And these are all the same because they're links. Your only option is for them to view the item. I will show you one thing though, when we get to the mid-check. Where am I at? This one. Do you have a question, Kelsey?
Nope.
Okay.
Doing pretty good.
Okay, so now my last thing in my apply folder is the mid-check, and now there's different options. I want them to make a submission. They can't move on to play the games until they've done the mid-check. So I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put make a submission. So any test or quiz, any assessment, any assignment that you put on one of these pathways or in Schoology that you want student completion on, there is an option for make a submission. And you want them to do that because they can't move on until they finish the last thing they were supposed to do. Save changes. So same thing happens here. Must view item, must make a submission. All of that is in there. Okay, so I have done that for Trail 1. I'm not gonna go do it for Trail 2 because it's the same thing. But basically what I would do in Trail 2 is I'd just go in the apply folder and I'd do the same thing. And I'd make sure that I have that they must complete the apply folder before they go to engage. I would just do the same process. Okay, so now, excuse me, I'm gonna go in here. Let's say Kelsey is in my class. We started this concept. She took the pre-assessment. So now the only things that she should be able to see in my course, everyone's taken the pre-assessment. I'm gonna unpublish the pre-assessment so that the students can't see it anymore. There's no reason for them to see it. I want them to see the PowerPoint because it kind of gives them that this is how you do the 4 square method. I want them to see the teacher videos. If they ever need to refer back to them or anything, they're still there. And then I don't want them to see the choice board yet until they're done with their steps. So basically, I just want them to see their trails, the PowerPoint, and the teacher videos. So now, if I go back up to course options, view the course as Kelsey, all that she can see when she goes into this folder is the PowerPoint, like I said, because I want her to reference that, the teacher videos so she can go back and look at them, and her trail that was assigned specifically to her. Okay, and it has must complete under here. So that's showing me as a teacher, she hasn't completed it. It shows her that she hasn't completed it as well. And then I'll also show you where you can check student progress as they go through. So if Kelsey clicks on Trail 1, if you'll notice, she can click on Explore, but she cannot click on Apply or Engage yet because she has not finished Explore. Because that's how we set up the student completion. She has to do Explore, then Apply, then engage. So if you go into Explore, you'll also notice she can only click the first one. Because we did them in order, we put in those requirements. If you don't care what order they watch them in, you don't have to do this, okay? But I would advise, if you want to do some kind of pathways or something, that you at least do the folders in student completion. So once she watches this number rock video, so I'm going to click on that. Woohoo! Oh, unavailable. Okay, we need to work on our pathways. But once she's clicked on that, okay, she clicked on it. Now, see, this one didn't open up. Let me reload my page. Watch it not work because I'm doing a video thing. And it didn't work. Maybe because it's not. Maybe because it's broken. I don't know. Either way, it should show the next video next. It will. You'll be able to click on it, right, Kelsey? Like, that's how it works. You'll be able to click.
So the reason it's not opening is because that video is not able to be watched by students because of our firewall in our district. So they actually have to click play on the video for then
There we go.
for it to be able to go to the next thing, and then they can reset their page and it should go to it. Now, sometimes I have issues with it where I have to go back in and just not have the videos as student completion and just trust that they're watching them, because sometimes the videos can be iffy if you embed them into Schoology.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I just link them and not embed them, so it actually takes them out of Schoology to watch the video. And then when they come back in, it should be published where they can go to the next thing.
And when it comes to YouTube, guys, we try to embed as much as possible because we don't really want them to go off into YouTube and then get, you know, onto some like Cardi B videos or something like that, you know, that they shouldn't be watching. So, you know, I know Cardi B. I feel so cool. So, Kristen, stop. I can see you and you're making me laugh. So, but yeah, so it will let them watch the next one, and then it'll go one by one. After they watch each one, it'll go one by one. So now, as a teacher, that's what Kelsey sees. So if I go back to my course, as a teacher, I can go in, and there's this student progress button right here. There's your options where you do the student completion. Then here's your student progress button. Oh, Aaron finished everything. No, he didn't. So, but that shows you their progress. So if Kelsey had watched all those videos, maybe done some apply practice, then she probably would be at about 60% is what it would show. But because we didn't really get into her doing any of that stuff, because it would have been her that would have to do it, then it doesn't show any progress yet. So you can always go back and check and be like, okay, so you've been at a station for 10 minutes, but it shows me that you're not doing anything. You don't have any progress. You're still 0%. What have you been doing on your computer? You know, it can give you that accountability as well. So, and then it will have this green check mark whenever they finish everything. So you can kind of check that when they say they're done. You see that green check mark, you're usually pretty good on that. They've gone through everything that they needed to. Okay. All right. So let's see. What else? That's how we use these personalized pathways. Something that our district has been really big on is personalized learning. Make sure that you're hitting students where they are in their learning. And so that's why we came up with these. Kelsey really came up with them big time in ELA. And then we started doing them in math after that, about, I guess the beginning of the year, not last year, the year before kind of we started it. And so this is just an idea of how to use Schoology, and that you can use it for a lot of different things. And this is just one specific thing that we use it for. So do we have any questions?
No, but I did want to say, so there was a lot of people that were asking about how this works, like in the classroom setting, I guess you can say. So what our days would look like, and it's the same for math as it is for reading. So we would have Monday would be where they take the pre-assessment or some type of pre-assessment that we're doing just to test and gauge their knowledge of the skill. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they would be in like a strategy group, doing these pathways, meeting with the teacher, doing task cards, manipulatives, anything that was in like station rotation or guided groups.
So like guided math, yeah.
Yeah.
This is your technology station for guided math.
Yeah. So you would do that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then Friday, roughly, if the schedule allowed, Friday would be either the mid-check, or you would have your assessment that Friday if your calendar was laid out that way. So that's how we really got the personalized pathways to work in our classroom, was by those station rotations, because we weren't one-to-one. Now, if we were one-to-one, every single kid would be on a computer doing pathway, and we just pull. Yeah, we would pull kids off their computer to do a guided group. Once we're done with the guided group, maybe a group's 5 minutes, maybe a group's 25 minutes. It doesn't matter. If they take that long to do it, then once you're done, you would just send them back, and then the next group would come. So sometimes, like Natalie and I, sometimes we'd be able to see each kid maybe 3 or 4 times a week. Yeah. Really in guided groups.
Yeah, when we ended up having, we were 2-to-1. When we had 15, she had 16. We had 15 computers per class. It was a lot easier to be able to pull kids while like half of the class, a little over half of the class, because we had some desktops, were on computers. So it was a lot easier to be able to pull them and spend that one-on-one time that with them that they might need. And you're going to get that data from some of these pre-assessments, from the mid-check as well. And then from, doing your lessons in class and all that stuff as well. So, because we usually have a mini lesson as well each day. For a concept like adding and subtracting fractions, there was a mini lesson on every little bit of it every day, basically. So, any other questions?
No, they want to see a reading one.
They want to see a reading one? Do you want to share one?
I mean, yeah, I can share.
Or do you want to do another training for it someday?
I could just share like really quickly.
Okay. Are you able to? Let me see.
You got to enable me.
Let's see.
At the bottom with the arrow, you got to hit multiple. Okay, there we go. I could do it now. Okay, so let me go to I got too many things open.
She was not prepared for this, y'all. Putting the pressure on.
Okay, so I'll just show you the one that I was working on for, not that one, this one. 5. So we have to, in our district, it's going to be set up where it's by weeks. And so they'll have a example set up for like Q1, then they'll have the week, and then inside of the week, this is an entire pathway broken up into days. So what I was thinking for my kids is like Monday would just be the pre-assessment over the skill. And then Tuesday, they would have 3 pathways with activities inside of those 3 pathways based on their level, just like what Natalie said.
So they're not going to see all 3 of those. They're going to see the one that's individually assigned to them from the pre-assessment, just like me.
And then Wednesday would be the exact same thing, where there'll be a different activity. Thursday will be the exact same. And then Friday, they would have their mid-check or their assessment, like their main assessment for the grade. But that's how I'm thinking of doing it for my my class this year. But when I did it for school last year, we did all 3 pathways. Like we just showed them all 3 pathways in one sitting. But since it's going to be digital and I don't really trust them going into all of these and doing them all, I'm going to break it up. And then also you can hide the folders until the day of. Yeah. So they're not seeing Monday through Friday. They might just see Monday because it's Monday. And then when Tuesday comes, Tuesday's coming, that's going to pop up. And then Wednesday, like you can have them where they don't publish until a certain day. So that way they're not overwhelmed by the amounts. They only see what they have to complete.
Yeah. Summer, I see in here, like I know it's a lot. It looks like a lot when you start, playing around with it. But it's basically, organizing your information that you already might use in a different way. and kind of more of a pathway, and not like just do this, do this, do this. And it's a lot to begin with. I completely understand that. Kelsey, where did you get those cute day of the week images? I knew somebody was going to ask that.
Textgiraffe.com.
Yeah, textgiraffe.com.
Yeah, I have a video on my YouTube that shows you how to get it into Schoology.
Yeah. Okay, guys, so I'm going to go back to...
We got about 10 minutes, Natalie.
Okay. Okay, do we have any other questions in there? I think there were some that were coming up.
No, they were just talking about how they like it where it's just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, and that depends too. Like we were talking as a team the other day, the math team, that might not work specifically for us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and with the weekly stuff, but we're gonna have to figure it out, because sometimes concepts are gonna take longer. We're given more time in our scope and sequence, and that kind of thing. So we could look into maybe not opening up the whole trail at once. Maybe you have to watch these videos on this day and these videos on the next, or something like that as well. Or we did this past year, towards the end of the time that we were doing checklists, where each week the students had a different checklist, and it said what videos they needed to watch, what apply practice they needed to do, and they checked it off on a piece of paper, and then turned that in at the end of the unit or whatever, and then you made sure that they got all their stuff done for the week. So there's a lot of different ideas that you can use with this, but it's basically a way to personalize by taking that data from your pre-assessment at the beginning of your concept, and a way to organize the information and the stuff that you want your students to do and to get a hold of, rather than here's all the stuff you can do and then they just gonna click around. You know, it's kind of a different way to look at it, I guess you can say. So on the bit.ly here, like I said before, each folder, this first video on your bit.ly that was from the beginning, I'll show, Kelsey, do you have the bit.ly still that you can put in the chat?
I'll show it again.
This first video, I put them in order. The first video is just about personalized learning and the pathways, and then it goes into a video on each folder and what I use for them and everything. So these are on the bit.ly, and they're also on my YouTube channel, and you can click down here at the bottom on the bit.ly to get to my YouTube channel. There's a playlist that puts them in the order from the beginning until the create folder, which is at the end. So if you want to take bits and pieces, then you can go look at it that way, one folder at a time. So this is just pre-assessments, just explore, that kind of thing. And I go over the same stuff on what does it mean for the explore, what trail is the explore folder in, that kind of stuff. So it's a lot to take in at once, but it's just an idea. Yeah. You know, it's an idea. It's something that we used in my first year teaching. This is going to be my third year, this career change. So, but I was thankful to have Kelsey as my partner my first year. She helped hire me, so, you know. And it was just eye-opening to see the amazing things that you can do. And after our first year of doing these pathways, our STAR scores, our state scores, like, they were beyond. I mean, we were crying in the room when we found out the scores, because we think that the students really took ownership of their learning by having it right there and knowing where to go. And it really was something that has proven to help. And so that's why we want to share. It's really proven to help. And we've done some district trainings on this as well, with some admin and also other teachers. And I just did one online this summer for them as well on these pathways. So they've been proven to work. So even though it seems like a lot of work to begin with. So are there any other questions, Kelsey?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Now
so what? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. We did have a lot of new people in here that were just starting out with Schoology. So next week, when we roll out, we're going to do the Zooms again like we did this week. So next week when we have Zooms, I'll definitely make sure to do a Schoology 101 again for our new friends that are coming into Schoology.
Excuse me. I think I might do one on just like maybe assignments, Google Drive assignments, just attaching them, and do that for kind of that. So look for those coming up next week. Also something that people have reached out to us about, you know, y'all are doing a lot of work on the side. This is something that Paula from Slides Mania did, and Kelsey had started doing it as well. So I decided, hey, if I'm going to do these, I might as well do it as well. On your Bitly, there's a buy me a coffee thing. If you want to, do not feel obligated. Just people have reached out and said, how can we help? Thanks for all the help that you've helped us with. If you want to, you can click on my coffee to go to mine, or click on Kelsey's coffee to go to hers. It's not an obligation at all, just something that we wanted to put out there because people have asked. So there's not any other questions.
Yeah,
we're good. This will be on my YouTube, which is,
I put in the chat already.
yeah, on here as well. And then remember to tweet out your learning as too, guys. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, we'll see y'all next week. Have a great weekend working on Schoology.
Yay.
No work this weekend.